You are now checking out the Win Podcast, where the everyday people are the celebrities. So let's get to know them.
What's up, guys? I didn't even see you there. It's your boy, Avery Rodriguez, or Avery the Great. So, if you guys want to know more about me, here's your answer right here. The Win Podcast. What are you waiting for? Tune in now. Peace. What's up, everybody?
I know you because of your mom, Jessie Cotto. Cotto, whatever. So that's how I basically know you. And I know that you and actor, and you're also go to school. You're a child. So, but I wanted to do this. I wanted to get to know you because I started seeing the work that you was doing as an actor. But besides that, I want to dig deep into your life and know who you are. So share with us, who are you?
All right, so basically I'm Avery Rodriguez. I'm 13. And I would say that I'm not the type of teenager nowadays that's all in technology. That's my point of view. They're all in their phones, Don't get me wrong, I'm still on my phone to listen to music, watch YouTube. But I have a high imagination. So when my mom said I was pretending to do float rolls on the floor, that was me. And that still is me today. Like every opportunity I have to use my imagination at the house, outside, or where my mom's working, I'll do that.
When did that start for you? Like when you started like, you know what? I'm gonna like pretend I have this rock and like I'm over here on this mountain, or like now I'm on clouds. Like when did you start to like see this world, this imagination?
So I started having an imagination, I would say, when I was 3. Because, my dad was always into superheroes. So he'll put on Marvel and DC movies, so I would just watch them with him, and sometimes during or after the movie, I'll pretend to be that character. So if he puts on Iron Man, I'll put on my Iron Man mask, pretend to be Iron Man, redo that scene, and then ever since then, it went to video games, me pretending to be that video game character, and then,
How did you feel being in those different worlds? Like, for instance, like when I do acting and I do comedy, it's like a release. Like, it's literally what you're feeling in your imagination world. Like, and we're, as actors and artists, we're still embracing that world that we have. We never let that child die in us.
That's true.
So, for you being 13, I want to know, what did the imagination bring to you? Like, how is it being in those worlds for you?
So the imagination worlds actually, I would say, bring the child in me, even though I still am a child. It brought that younger self into me. So because I am maturing, I'm becoming a young adult, but I don't want to lose that child in me. So I always want to keep that imagination inside my head as long as I can, because now that I'm an actor, that can actually help you when you're doing a movie, when you're doing that, because the more imagination you have, I would say the easier the job is for you.
How did you get into this? I'm not interviewing a 13-year-old, by the way. I'm interviewing a 40-year-old. No, a 40-year-old. You're older than me. You're older than your mom right now. So your mom sounded 13.
Come on, grow up.
So I feel like I need my cappuccino. So Avery, tell me, when you did that role of a serial killer, I don't know. So, when did you get into, I guess, this world of acting and knew that, like, hey, I can do that, or I want to do that? And when did you discover that passion?
So I discovered the passion actually seeing movies in theaters, because even though I would say I would want to be a police officer, a basketball player, acting, I would say, it had a important role in both my mom and I's heart, because you see the actors playing that role, you're like, man, I pretend to be that character. It's like, I can do that. There's no harm in at least attempting to do that. That can be your dream. So I actually started pretending to be characters and tried to act after the movie. And when I became a professional actor, actually happened around a few months ago, when I did that whole Nicky Jam app. So That would say maybe it's just very recent me getting into the actors and actresses game.
Did you find it difficult for you to, I guess, dig into different roles, acting? What is the process for a 13-year-old getting into that world for you? Was it challenging at times? Was it easy at times?
Yeah, I would say it was definitely challenging at certain times because it was like, man, what was this line for that again? How do I do this? So I would always use curiosity to get the director to tell me. I was just very nervous. I was like, I know this scene's coming up. I struggled rehearsing it with my mom. I was like, how in the world am I gonna do this scene to the director's expectation? And once the scene came, it's like taking a test.
Right.
You're nervous, but once the test gets in front of you, you're doing it. You put in a 1,000% effort into it. So that's what I did in each and every scene, each and every role, everything.
What do you do in those moments where it's easy to get, like, as myself, it's easy to get this energy, people call it nervousness and stuff like that. In those moments when it's becoming tough, what do you how do you deal with that? How do you overcome those issues for you?
So overcoming issues, I would actually talk to my mom about it. And talking to my mom's very important because when you have an opportunity to be open with your feelings, you should take it. Because if anyone knows you more than yourself, it will be your mom.
Right.
And your parents, because they observe your behavioral everything. So I would tell my mom and express my issues, and if I have any recommendations or what I would want to do for myself, I ask my mom for her opinion, and if she agrees with it, then I commit to that.
Your mom shared a awesome story about you, and that's when I was like, nah, this kid been here before, one, and two, he truly is a professional and dedicated to this craft, where you was on set with the latest film that you did, and you went up to Nicky Jam, and you said, I want to know how it was, for you growing up as a child. So then you was like, I'm playing a child, you as a child, so I want to know what was your upbringing. And I'm just like, wait, what? He said that? She's like, yo. I was like, what the fuck? So, I'm hearing it, and I'm like, what? I was like, that's something that I learned to do. And at 13, I was playing Xbox, and I was not going up to any director, and I didn't have no roles, no scripts, no nothing. You know what I'm saying? My mom had to still tell me to shower and wash my ass at 8 p.m. So for you to go up there and be like, Nick, you got a quick sec? Come on down. Let me check. Bring the coffee down. What made you want to do that? And I heard from your mom, that came from you. That wasn't like, hey, Avery, you should definitely do that if you want. And it was like, no, you went up to him. What made you do that? I want to know what was in your mind at that time.
Well, first off, I still play Xbox. I mean, all of that. But don't get me wrong. I love video games. But going back to your question, my very first film, which is the Nicky Jam, is a biography of Nicky Jam. So to be honest, I told my mom this, that I feel that a biography of a person is actually harder than a fictional role. Because for a fictional role, whatever character you portray and you do it good, people will remember that character as you, or how the emotion you brought to it. Biography, you have to play it almost exact because you're portraying a real person. So I thought my goal was to get to know Nicky Jam as an adult and as a child as much as I can, just to help me in my role, because when people watch it, and if they're longtime fans, they can say, he delivered it exactly how I wanted it. And I wanted to give the audience and everyone on set what they wanted.
How do you spoke about it a couple times now, being able to be open with emotions. How do you deal with your emotions and, people being on set and then going through those emotions and then not bringing it with you and going back to your regular self at 13 playing Xbox or whatever, So how do you, now that was new for you, how do you learn how to juggle that, or go deliver anger, deliver sadness or whatever, and then be like, okay, I'm cool now. Like, describe that a little bit.
Well, my mom always told me there's a time and a place for everything. So I actually took that for emotions. There's a time to be angry, there's time to be sad, and there's always times to be happy. So when it was the acting, when I was offset, off camera, I would be myself. And once they called me onto the set in front of the camera, I was like, just throw out all the emotions, throw it away for now, put it to the side,
Mm-hmm.
and time to bring the emotion that they want in me. They're the bosses of me now, and I'm gonna have to deliver it as much as I can.
Do you feel like the acting is so when you're on set is similar to this imagination that you still love and still have it in your hand and still playing with?
Yeah, I mean, there's certain scenes that they had me do where I had to improvise.
Mm.
So I was like, I have to use my imagination to make it as look as realistic as possible. So I was like, I can relate to this scene. I have to use my imagination to these scenes, and I will hold those scenes forever in my heart.
How do you juggle at that time having this big role, right, in this big gig? How did you juggle, being a child, an actor, and also going to school?
So while I was doing this gig, I'm not trying to throw shade at my school. They weren't supportive. They were against it. Like, if he misses this these days, I'm decreasing his GPA.
Oh, they was hating on you.
Yeah, they were hating. So, I had to. My mom had me on a little
And
mission.
he was like, "You talk to my agent then,
Yeah,
because I can't do this social studies homework. It is my life." And then you took the mask off. Like, whew, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You had to get angry, Mom.
It was like I had to go with my mom, and my mom's my agent. Whatever emotion she has, I have.
Yeah.
And my mom would give me missions to low key have my teachers give me homework without the principal knowing.
Gotcha.
So it was like, I can't do this because my mom wanted me to. I have to do it because I want to.
Gotcha.
Because I had one of the highest GPAs so far, and during that time.
So you already learned, right? This thing's already teaching you the risk and that you have to take to become and to be an actor, and in the end, the sacrifices you have to make. And you already learned kind of like really early on that, all right, I can sacrifice this GPA because it's something that I want to do, but I'll bring it back up again. Was that tough for you, or that decision come easy for you? Or you was like, they're going to be hating on me, but at the same time, I kind of know what I want to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Even though they were hating on me, I was like, I don't care what you say. Because at the end of the day, my life is my life. And I'm not going to, as much as GPA is important, I'm not going to sacrifice what I want to do in life and possibly open up doors to the future just because I want to maintain this A GPA. And, when I told my mom that, I agree with you 100% and I'm going to do this movie with or without their help. And that's just how it came down. So really, there was only a few teachers that were down for the ride and would provide homework, let me know what I needed to get to still at least maintain a certain GPA. And that's what I did.
Did you, in this moment, did you find it, I guess, tough to be different, right? Be different in a sense where you growing up and like, I know I'm not like you said in the beginning, I'm not like your average 13-year-old. When did you start noticing that, like, I'm different and I'm okay with that? If anything, like, I see a lot of different sides of myself and I don't fit in to what this world wants me to become or wants me to be in. When did you start experiencing that?
So, when you have the lunchtime in school where you're able to chat with your friends, we're all sitting at our tables as boys, talk about, and I just noticed that they were talking about stuff that I wasn't, in fully understanding. I would laugh, but it's not like a true laugh that I understand.
Right.
It was just a laugh to show that, I fit in, I'm with this group. So, and I would say I definitely started noticing that when I was in school after the whole gig. And, the kids would ask me how did it go, because I told my real friends, because, there's a lot of fake friends out there. You gotta
brush them off.
You gotta brush them off.
Yeah.
So they would ask me how did it go. I said, it went very well, and I'm happy you're supporting me in this because they're not hating. But at the same time, they were also the group of friends that were talking about stuff that I didn't know. So I was like, man, I don't know if I fit in yet. I don't know. So it takes some time.
Well, it is different, right? You're going back into that world, and it's great that you was aware to see these people showing them the true colors of, like, I'm fake supporting you. I'm giving you fake positivity. And you was open to see that. but it's also, this world where it's also new for them, right? So here's this kid that comes back and says, "So how was it?" Oh my God, let me tell you, Nicky Jam is a doozy. We was here. The breakfast was a phenomenal. What did you guys do, by the way? And he was like, we was playing Xbox, and you're like, losers. Nah, we wasn't doing that, but you was like, it's two different worlds for you and for them. And I think that's so amazing that you, I guess, accepted that. I was like, I'm different. I'm doing things different. It's something that I want to achieve and conquer, and let it go where it needs to go.
Yeah, I do find it challenging because you have to always be mindful about your friends, especially at my age. Because my dad would tell me and my mom would tell me, be mindful of this person because you don't want them getting. If they get in trouble, I don't hang around with them because if you hang around with them, the teacher's gonna think you're part of the action that they just did. You're gonna get suspended. I'm like, I'm not trying to do that.
Right.
And then there's certain groups of friends that'll act like they're supporting you because when they're doing their gig, you support them. But when you do your thing and they don't support you, you have to cut them out. So it was very challenging finding out who were the real friends and the friends that stay out of trouble, and the fake friends who are always in trouble.
How would you define friendship to you? What is friendship to you?
Friendship, I would say, is based on trust and support. Friends don't come from you getting a lot of things in common. I'm not saying that's not a factor,
Right.
but it can't be, I play this game, so do you. We're friends. No, it's that I'm doing this, you support me. You're doing that, I support you. And there's no feeling of, hey, I think he's talking about me behind my back. I don't want that. I want friends that are always on my side. I'm on their side. I would say ride or die, like family.
Right.
So friendship is trust.
You mentioned your mom a lot, and you guys have a precious and unique bond and chemistry with each other. I want to know, when did that started to flourish for you? Where like you was like, yeah, she's pretty cool, and she's my mom.
My mom is probably not gonna believe this, but I would say maybe around kindergarten because
Damn, you remember? Like, this is crazy because I'm interviewing like, you remember kindergarten? Like, I don't.
My mom mentioned that I bought the child out of her. Oh, I was like, it's crazy. I remember we're under, in the train station, and I'm like, I want to race you down to the things where you crawl under. And my mom would do that. She'll say speed walk or run. Like, I would bring the child out of her. And that was around kindergarten. And then now, as I started getting to my double digits, we started to talk about things that parents wouldn't normally express to their child. And that's when I developed a full relationship and understanding relationship.
Was that important to you, or now you're reaching the double digits, a different change in your life? Was that important to you to now, hey mom, not only do I don't want to just run in the train tracks, but I got some shit that I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely important because I don't want to have a parent. I'm not saying that my mom's that parent where I want to stay to myself because they're not going to understand or listen to what I have to say. And my mom is fully understanding of what I have to say and makes it a priority. If I want this to happen because I think it's going to help me, she'll commit 110% effort to help me get that.
You sound like the perfect child, but I know you're probably stubborn sometimes.
Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't, because
you see, I told you you're not gonna believe me. I love you though. I love you.
Because you are absolutely an awesome person, an awesome child, and I see that. But I also want to get into, like you said, you're like, I would feel like you're a 40-year-old man living a 30-year-old body. So what is these challenges that you have sometimes that you're like, I'm being stubborn, or I don't want to do it that way? What are some things that when that happens for you, that becomes challenging for you? Because it ain't all like, I'm Avery, I'm perfect. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I'm a very anxious person. So when my mom's at an event for a long time, I'm like, how long? Because I want to do this. I want to play my game.
Gotcha.
So I would say like sometimes I would say in a way selfish because I would ask my mom how long is this, how long is the ride over there, and it can get annoying for my mom and I understand that. So I'm trying to work on that, but my anxiousness brings that character out of me. I would say.
You also mentioned that the relationship is very important for you because you can allow to express yourself. Have there been moments where you felt like not only with her but like you were afraid to express yourself, where like you was going through certain things like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna sound weird. I can't go to my friends because they won't get me.
Yeah.
Like, what is this that I'm feeling? But was there times like that for you when you was going through those moments?
Yeah, absolutely. But the crazy thing is, it wouldn't be with my mom because I'm not afraid to express anything to my mom. I love my dad with all my heart, but it would mainly be my dad that I'm afraid to express certain things.
Cool. So we had a little technical difficulties, but we're gonna get right back to that.
Yeah.
So we was on the subject if those moments where you have your mom and you can express everything to her and you have this beautiful connection with her. And I wanted to know, was there ever moments that, you felt that you couldn't express something or you was going through a change that like, I don't know if people are going to get me and I can't go to my friends. And then you went along the lines like, with your mom, you can share everything. But with your dad, it's challenging at times to share certain things with him. Not to say that he's horrible and stuff like that,
No.
but you're just saying that like, well, there are moments it's challenging. So I want you to continue that. Why is it challenging for you sometimes to express yourself to a dad?
I would say it's challenging because he would probably not understand why I'm feeling like this because I've hidden my opinion for so long and made it seem like everything's cool or perfect that he won't understand. And B, what I'm really afraid of, and the real reason why I'm hesitant to
Right.
express how I feel is because he may not agree with it.
Oh,
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he's gonna not agree with everything. I'm totally wrong. He's probably gonna disagree with certain opinions that I have, and it's just like, I'm not saying it to be right. I'm saying it because how I feel. It's my opinion.
this could be also a great lesson for you, right? Where there's not only your dad, you're gonna have people that you work with in relationships that you build off of that you are still gonna be reserved, and I feel that this is not what you say but how you say it. And I
Yeah.
think this will be a beginning lesson for you to start practicing that, not to be afraid of expressing yourself and how you feel. Because at the end of the day, it only is hurting you because you're not really showing your true self to everyone. Not only to your mom. Your mom knows, or your couple friends, but to anyone you're going to meet. This may even happen maybe one day on set where you're dealing with maybe an asshole director and you're afraid to question something or you're afraid to act something where it can affect your role. And also affect you within yourself to get you to where you need to go in this scene.
Yeah.
So I would say, and this is something I learned from Guru as well, that is your story. That is how you feel. And it's how you are saying this, not to say, you know what, fuck you, blah, blah. It's like, this, I'm going to share something, and this is no offense to anything, but it's exactly how I'm feeling. It's not up to the person to agree, because they're different people. They may not agree, but it's like agree to disagree. Thank you for sharing in that moment what you just shared. I may not agree with you, Avery, but I'm glad you was open enough to share that. So I think that's something that you should start practicing, right? Speaking your truth, whether you're right or wrong, right? Speaking your truth to be like, this is how I'm feeling. Even though, Mom, you did this and I was wrong for that, but this is how I'm feeling. And then she's going to counter with something. So I think you should start doing it, even with friends, teachers, right? In that moment when the teachers were saying, like, or the principal, they was hating on you, and you had to brush them off. A great moment for you to be like, listen, I want to do this for me. I understand where you're coming from. I still care about that. But little by little, not being afraid to speak your truth and standing by that, not worrying about, it's really about you worrying about everybody else. How are they going to take this? Because it seems like even now in this interview, you're okay to share how you feel. I'm giving you that platform to share, and you're just like, boom, 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 boom. And that's what you should always be. You should never let anybody hinder that or trap that for you. Speak it.
Thank you. I would definitely be using that.
Yeah, live like little by little. This is how I'm feeling, and this is what. And then if they agree with it, they don't. So that's dope. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, honestly, for me, I learned from that, and because sometimes, a big part of me doing this interview was to talk to a 13-year-old, right? Because I forgot once what it was to be a 13-year-old, and we have all these things that we're battling and going through, and I wanted to know, is it really true? Like, what are they going through right now? What's in their mind? How are they thinking? Are they, and for you to share those things where, it's important for any age for us to vent and talk and to express how we feel. And I thought that was awesome that I'm learning that from you. Besides acting, what are some other passions that you want to achieve or look into or do?
So my mom has her brand Vibrating Higher. Check it out. So I expressed this to my mom that I actually want to start my own brand for clothing. I haven't exactly thought of a name yet. It's kind of weird, but the idea hit me one day like, you should create a brand, especially after doing this gig, because you're gonna get known more than you are now, and if you create a brand, people are probably gonna buy it, and then you become known more. So that idea came to me, and I love basketball. So I'm not saying I would see it as a career, but maybe I can go into certain camps and get better at the sport, and who knows? I'm not saying it won't happen. Opportunities can come up for me where I could play at certain games for a sponsor or something. So I would want to continue or start those things.
Do you think about, because you mentioned starting a brand and like people are gonna know you more? Have you ever thought about like, what if like I get this, I'm viral, I get all these millions of followers? Do you ever think about, wow, this can kind of get crazy for me, and like my childhood might be different and stuff? Like, have you ever maybe thought about it? Because it's out there, you see those different scenarios. Not to say that's going to be you or whatever, but you be like, oh, it's a possibility that I could get very known and things. A lot of people could be following me.
Yeah, and what's crazy? I realized that in Mexico while I was shooting, because one day I woke up and I thought to myself about the actor of Home Alone, the very first one, because I heard rumors how that movie was so big, his childhood, kind of, had to go on pause, and he had to, entertain the audience. And I told my mom, Ma, he's a good actor, or he has a good legacy, but I don't want that to happen to me. So I asked my mom, can you schedule an arrangement with the guru? Because she can give me the advice that I would need to avoid those issues. And I thought about that when I woke up, and I told myself, I don't want this to happen to me. What can I do to prevent this?
And it was just one day you just wake up and boom.
It was totally random. I could see it on my mom's face. And then she told me the advice, and then she said, you know what? Yeah, I will schedule that appointment with you.
Have you, now meeting Guru, where does that fit in your life? How after meeting her, how has your life changed?
She definitely inspired me to continue doing what I'm doing, because I'm not even gonna lie. If I didn't express to my mom that I want to see Guru, and if she didn't let me see her, I think that my fear would have held me back to continuing this, especially if it becomes successful. I'm not saying it won't, and I become known. So fear is extremely big on me. It would definitely hold me back if I don't do something to stop it.
How do you see fear?
I see fear. Oh, that's a deep question. I see fear as a blocker. One of those street blockers that pop up and prevent the car from going.
Right.
I'm the car, and I'm carrying my passion with me as a passenger. And fear is just that blocker that comes up and stops me from continuing the path that I want to go on. And then eventually I have to turn around and go back from where I started or stop going at all.
Has this been a constant thing in your life? Because and what do you do to overcome those fears? And there's going to be plenty of fears growing up. I still have fears, you know what I'm saying? But I learned how to overcome them and to take them on and to learn from it, right? Because we could see fear as a negative, but we also could turn it
Use
into
the
a
fear.
positive.
Yeah.
You know, so has that been an issue for you where fear has come up in your life a lot? And I want to know also, what did you do to overcome those things,
Yeah.
or try to overcome it, or continue on?
Yeah. Fear came to me around school. You know, not just for tests, but around the friends that I hanged out with. Because I want to fit in, but at the same time I don't want to fit in the negative section. So, and I used fear to kind of motivate me to gain the confidence to just block them from my life completely. And I admit it, I have a few friends that a few kids that I thought were my friends, that the next year I just stopped speaking to them because I didn't want to continue the fake relationship I had with them.
Good for you.
Thank
Good
you.
for you, man. That's awesome. There's not a lot of people that would do that, and there's not a lot of people that are as open as you to really express that and to admit, like, I have fears, and I'm gonna continue having fears, and I'm gonna keep on jumping over these hurdles. So that's awesome. So we basically got to know you now. Now we're gonna go into the different segments of the show. The first segment is called Peekaboo, and I want to know, what do you hide from the world?
This thing just got deep. I'm not, they got deep. One thing that I hide from the world is obviously fear, but I would say maybe my geekness, if that's even a word, on comic books and characters, because kids nowadays, or in my school, don't necessarily like superheroes no more. They're into video games like Fortnite. They're into other stuff. So if I throw out the idea of superheroes, they're like, not into it that much, and I just stop speaking about it. So I don't put that out there that I like Marvel a lot because I don't want to change the subject or people looking at me differently.
Nice. I also want to put in that list for you, which you revealed today. You also hide sometimes you're speaking your truth. Number 2, what do you show the world?
I show the world my intelligence, my vocabulary just now. I show the world that I'm proud to be who I am, in my opinion. And I sometimes I don't, but I show my love for my mom. Like, I show that I don't mind being around her, and at the same time, it's like, Ma, don't hold my hand. Don't cross the street.
But it's a normal thing, because I remember, and that's normal. Every child goes through. I remember being like a huge mama's boy. Then one day you're just like, all right, Mom, we can do this in the house, and we don't gotta do it all the time in the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? And then it's not saying that we don't love. They may think sometimes like, oh, they don't love me no more. It's like, nah, the love is still inside. I just don't want to express it outside all the time. So I get you. I feel it. And also you're growing up, so there's cuties out there. So so you out there with Nicky Jam. So you don't want to be like that. I get you, man. I get you. He was like, there's a time and place, for it, Mom.
Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. But that's great. He's look, Mom, the love's still there. Number 2, if you would die tomorrow at 3 p.m., I know you heard about this question, and we're going to get into it. If you would die tomorrow at 3 p.m., what would you accomplish?
That's the deepest moment, because I'm 13. The last thing I want to think about is death. I want to think about what's in the item shop tomorrow, what I'm going to do tomorrow with my friends. So,
You got the 259.
yeah, 259 to do what I want. And, the crazy thing that would be, definitely create my brand, and not to successfully make it, but at least that it has the legacy and to be remembered or eventually continued. Another thing, talk to my dad about my issues. That's very important. And show all the love that I can for my mom and my family. Yeah.
And also, I think you probably take one more trip down to Imagination.
Oh yeah, definitely. and my imagination won't be by myself no more. I'll definitely do it as a bigger brother.
Mm,
And that's
nice.
what it's about.
Next segment is called Words from My Spiritual Teacher, Guru of Enlightenment. That's both our spiritual teachers, so you have been seeing her. You guys should already be checking out her stuff, man. We keep on sharing it every week. So she's a spiritual teacher. She teaches spirituality. And right now, I'm going to share one of her writings from her book, Guide to Finding Answers Within the Unknown. And as always, you can find all the information to reach out to her, see her Instagram, and it's going to be in the description. So this part, which was very interesting, like I knew I was going to interview you, a 13-year-old, a child, right? And I just opened the book, and it went to chapter 13, right? And in chapter 13, there was a nice passage that I felt automatically, and I laughed, that goes perfect with this interview. And I don't plan this. It just happens. So this is from chapter 13, and it says, "They learn what they see. Children learn what they see, not what is told. If a child sees that you are drinking excessively, only two things can happen to that child as they grow up. Either he or she will start drinking at a young age or decide not to want to be like how the parents are." And this is something that Guru always shared, that the child always doesn't only learn by you telling them, but what they're seeing. The action speaks louder to the child. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I am interviewing a child. So I'm like, I want to know, and I got a couple questions to you. I want to know, how did you feel about hearing that?
Well, hearing this, I think that it's true. And, if someone tells me, like, for instance, I hate smoking, I hope that it's eventually discontinued. And, if someone tells me not to smoke and they don't smoke, that will put an influence on me not to smoke, especially the more that I see stuff about how it affects your body. And also this kind of, proves my point of view on, if someone tells you, like a hypocrite, not to do something but they do it, and you see them, you're probably going to start evaluating whether or not it's good for you. And if the side says it's good for you more than it doesn't, like your enemy side, I would say, you're eventually going to start doing something that you didn't see yourself committing to 10 years from now.
I agree with you all the way. I want to know, touching base on this, right? You growing up, do you feel you learned more, not only by what people were saying to you, but within what was around you? Did you feel that spoke to you more on, you know what, I'm not going to follow this guy because this guy just got in trouble for this. I'm not doing that. Growing up as a child, do you feel that a lot of your lessons came from, hey, this doesn't match up, or I'm not doing that? Watching, seeing, just being quiet and still using your eyes.
I'm telling you, the city, as much as I love New York, it has done nothing but taught me lessons about what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And the reason for that is because if you see the result of people doing drugs, you see people getting arrested. I've seen people get arrested. I've seen the effects it has on them. I'm like, zombies, all of them. Why would I want to end up like this when I'm doing what I'm doing now, and I have millions of other things to do with my life, and results of negative actions, and viewing them have taught me not to do this, and also at the same time, vice versa, results of positive things, seeing people move on from their issues, being successful with their lives. That tells me, hey, I want to do this, and I want to do it right with 100% effort. And this, the city proves both of those.
If you knew that 20 years from now you're gonna watch this, what is a message you would tell yourself for the future in 20? So you get the question?
Yeah.
I kind of confused myself.
I hope I answer it right. That's the thing.
So at if you knew in 20 years from now that you're gonna leave a message now to your 20-year-old self right now, what would it be?
And I was viewing it 20 years from now.
Yeah, in 20 years from now, you're gonna stumble across the Win podcast. Hopefully, it's still up on the internet. So now your 13-year-old self is gonna leave a message to your 20-year-old self.
Oh.
So what?
33.
Your 13-year-old self would. It doesn't have to be. He's just 20 years.
Oh,
from
like
now.
7 years or 33.
Yeah, you'll be 33.
Yeah. All right.
But, you're gonna send a message to yourself. It's kind of like, I want to say something to you. Usually, it's like the reversal, right? It's like, what would you tell your 15-year-old self?
Yeah.
And you're like 50 now. I want to know, what would your 13-year-old self tell your 33-year-old self 20 years from now? I think if the math is right, you let me know you're in school.
Yeah, so it is right. It definitely is. And one thing I would tell myself, Avery, 33-year-old Avery, if you're viewing this, stay yourself. You know, don't get involved with the wrong thing because it's now trending. If you don't like it, don't do it. You know, it should never be that way. You know, city has an influence on you. Try your best. Use fear to motivate you to do the opposite and probably start a new trending thing for positivity. Vibrate higher.
Be yourself. Avery, man, it's been an honor and a blessing to get to know you, to just talk to you. I mean, I have learned so much. I felt like I've known you all my life, just getting to know you, and I'm like super proud of you and all your accomplishments.
Thank you.
You are super talented, gifted. You are a unique child. You're very special. So I want you to keep embracing those beautiful gifts and keep on searching within and getting to know who and what you are, and really speaking your truth and allowing the world to see who and what you are. Before we go, I'm going to put in the description as well, always, where can people follow you on Instagram if you want them to follow you on Instagram, or any information you have out there that you want to share.
Definitely. If you guys are interested in joining me in my journey right now, you can go on Instagram at I am Avery the Great. I am Avery the Great.
Nice.
I confused that, but
But it'll
that.
be in the description, stuff for that. My brother, it's been a blessing. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for coming in, man. And thank you for everybody for checking this out. Once again, thank you everybody for checking out another episode of the Win Podcast. You can check us out on SoundCloud, YouTube, Instagram at the Win Podcast. And any information you want to check out, just look at the description box and all the information is there. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoyed another episode. Peace.